Hello, this is Jason Karcheski again, and I am reviewing MakeBeliefComix. MakeBeliefComix is very fun. I made an activity where modeling what a student might do as an assessment about the water cycle. So you could definitely use this as a formative or a summative assessment. As we know, formative assessments don't necessarily have to be quick, and to me, this tool is probably not, at least in the elementary classrooms, or even middle school if you chose to maybe dip down a little bit for this one. It's not going to be very quick. Just from working with it and coming up with ideas, I think it's not going to be quick because there's so much different content here that the kids can select characters and different poses and emotions, different backgrounds, and I think what probably would happen is the kids would get very wrapped up in choosing characters and exploring options, and you wouldn't have any kind of a quick assessment unless they had been using this for quite a while and they knew exactly what they wanted to do with it. But I don't picture that being the case. So you could use this as formative or summative, but I would say expect it to take a while. One of the things I like about it is it's very novel. It lets kids be creative without necessarily having to be artistic. And that, for a lot of kids, is fun. It lets them do something that otherwise they might not like to do or couldn't do because they're not very artistic. So here's what I did. I made up a story, a plot, using the website's resources to make different comic strips. And what I did is I'm basically treating it almost like a comic book, because in order to fit a good deal of, in this case, science content, and to explain it, to demonstrate that as a student I know what I'm talking about, I don't think you can do it very well with just 3 panels by themselves. So I wound up doing I think 18 panels total, sort of like a comic book style. So this was my story. I imagine you can probably read it from where you're viewing it, but if you can't, this is my first character, Gus. He's a newscaster, and he's beginning to do a hard-hitting action or story on the water cycle. And one of the reporters lets him know about evaporation, and this causes him to start to get worried because he finds out that water is leaving the earth and going up into the sky and forming clouds as they condense. So this creates a concern. Another one of the reporters, Fred in Seattle, Washington, is reporting that good news, water is returning back to earth in its liquid form, so there's nothing to worry about. In the meantime, in the background, a UFO has arrived and a alien princesses beamed down to Earth. We learn about the different kinds of precipitation. Then the reporter gets word from another one of the on-the-scenes reporters, Candy Ramirez, about something shocking going on, and that's where she brings in the concept of runoff. And they coined the term water crisis. So she describes how rivers tend to go towards the ocean, and then, of course, Gus, the home reporter, gets very concerned about this. Water Crisis 17 is underway. And then a student from an elementary school checks in with the reporters, and she then explains the whole process about evaporation, condensation. Then she talks about runoff, the water cycle, and she puts everyone's mind at ease. Let me see. I think I lost a panel. Oh, there it is. There's the final panel. She starts to talk about the UFOs and the mermaid in the background, and then Gus kind of talks over her and lets her know about water cycle crisis, or water crisis 17 being solved. He bids us good night, and then we have our ending here. So you can get, I think, a lot of good information from students if you are willing to invest the time. I think this is pretty novel, and I'm sure the kids are going to enjoy it, so they'll be excited to make it. However, my suggestion is that you definitely have a rubric that you've gone over with your students ahead of time. If you don't do that, the products you get will be all over the place and won't necessarily show you what it is you're looking for. The fun factor and the exploration that can go on with this website, MakeBeliefComix, is just too great to not give your kids a lot of very specific parameters about what it is we're really trying to find out as we're doing this fun activity. So you have to be very clear about that. I'm also reminded with this activity of the discussion very early in the class about learning while you're being assessed. So as you're creating this slide presentation that I did, I took mine and I turned them into a slideshow. You wind up learning along the way, if you're a student, about the content. So if there were any gaps prior to creating this, I think along the way, if you're doing this with a partner or you're working on it by yourself, you're bound to learn a little bit more about your topic than what you knew before. So as an assessment, it can be valuable because it's going to show you things that they learned even as they created this project. So I think it has a lot of value. I believe will take quite a bit of time, though, for students to create these projects. So I would definitely recommend using it, but I would keep in mind all of those different caveats about it. Make sure you have a rubric and make sure you understand how much time is probably going to be involved in this process. All right, I hope you enjoyed.